This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Reflection is an essential part of the practitioner's activity as it stimulates the professional to improve their skills and learn how to deal with difficult situations. When reflection is applied, the practitioner becomes more experienced and confident in his or her abilities. A reflective person is open to communication in the way of gaining the best outcomes for the patients. Critical thinking is considered an inseparable part of reflective practice. The inability to accept criticism may be an obstruction to reflective practice as it often presupposes admitting one's fault and being ready to improve one's methods. On the other hand, being too critical is also wrong as it undermines the practitioner's confidence in his or her knowledge and skills. The reflective cycle proposed by Gibbs is considered one of the most efficient models. It includes the following stages: description, thoughts and feelings, evaluation, analysis, conclusion, and action plan. I shall apply this model when describing my reflection on the mentioned practice issue. The type of knowledge informing the practice is personal experience. Reflection on an identified practice issue. Description. I noticed that two of my colleagues often neglected the rules of hand hygiene. They did not always wash their hands or change gloves when switching from one type of work to another. Sometimes, they disrespected the hygiene requirements because of the lack of time. For instance, when there was a patient delivered by an ambulance, and there was no time to spare because the person's life was in danger and every minute was crucial. However, frequently, such disregard took place when there was no hurry. For example, they did not wash their hands after using the bathroom. After a careful decision-making process, I decided to let the charge nurse know about the situation. However, I also warned my colleagues about my decision and asked them to be more responsible. My resolution gave them time to realize their mistakes before being invited to the charge nurse's office and asking for an explanation of their behavior. I also asked the charge nurse not to be too harsh on them but, at the same time, let them know that even minor misconduct in health service work may lead to damaging outcomes for the patients. Thoughts and feelings. As a health practitioner, my first concern was about the patient's well-being and health. If a medical worker disregards the most straightforward hygiene requirements, he/she may disobey other rules which are much more crucial and the breaking of which may lead to dramatic outcomes for the people's health. I felt somewhat disappointed and disturbed. I did not know how to find a way out of the situation that would satisfy all the stakeholders. I realized that the patient's health is the first and foremost concern for me as a health practitioner. At the same time, I understood that I needed to maintain a good relationship with my colleagues. This situation frustrated and upset me. I had a feeling that my colleagues did not value the people's lives to the necessary extent. I also had a hard time thinking that I would set them up by telling the charge nurse about the incidents. Evaluation. The experience allowed me to make both positive and negative conclusions. I realized that I did a good thing when I noticed the situation and decided to take measures. My basic professional instinct is to take care of the patients, and in this case, I was thinking about their health and well-being. On the other hand, I was disturbed because I was doing some harm to my colleagues by pointing out their wrong behavior to the charge nurse. It would have adverse outcomes for them. However, taking into consideration all the sides of the situation, I think I did the right thing. Maybe my colleagues will be punished, but they must not forget about their highest priority as healthcare practitioners. This case will teach them a lesson. I hope that they will be more considerate about their hygiene in the future. Additionally, this minor case will teach them to be cautious about significant cases. As a result, they will remember that someone's health is in their hands, and they must conform to all the rules in order to provide the patients with the best care. Analysis. This situation taught me several lessons. First of all, it is vital to remember one's responsibilities under any circumstances. Even though I did not want to hurt my colleagues, I was thinking of the patient's welfare in the first place. I realized that as I noticed someone's misbehavior, other people might see mine. Therefore, this case taught me to be more cautious about the rules and obligations. Another thing I took from this issue is that it is necessary to keep on good terms with one's colleagues. While I disapproved of some practitioners' misconduct, I did not just go and report on them. I explained the situation to them and emphasized the significance of their correct behavior. I did everything possible to maintain favorable relationships with my coworkers. Conclusion. There were two other resolutions I could have made. I could either tell my colleagues that I noticed their wrong conduct and ask them to stop, or I could complain to the charge nurse and not warn the people why she would have a conversation with them. In the first case, I would most likely earn the coworkers' respect and hear a promise that such situations would never be repeated. However, I could not be sure about their conscientiousness in the future. In the second case, my colleagues would consider me a traitor who reported on them without explaining the situation. These two decisions are worse than the one I made because they only view the case from one angle. My resolution was the most suitable and included consideration of every side of the situation. Action plan. In the future, if an identical situation occurs, I will develop a similar strategy. If I see any violations that may put the patient's well-being under threat, I will let the authorities know about that, but at the same time, I will reveal my intentions to the colleagues involved. I believe that this is the most suitable way out of such a practice issue. Patients' health is my priority interest, but I also want to have good relationships with my coworkers. This essay on reflection and action plan in nursing practice was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one, on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for.